Guys, it's me, Shell360, and this is the K-drama review for episodes 3 and 4 of Uncontrollably Fond. Now, I have not been doing drama reviews regularly for a while, and I think my last review wasn't so hot. This one's probably not going to be that great either, but there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, this show has a really interesting way that it's telling its story. It's a non-linear narrative. You do a lot of time jumps, what happened in the past, what's happening now, and they're linear in terms of kind of each time period, because we have two distinct time periods that we're working in, and each of those are moving along the track, but we're kind of skipping back and forth between the two tracks, and so that's why I say it's a little hard to do. It's kind of like a zipper. They entwine, if you will, so it's kind of hard to pull it apart and keep things intact. Also, you know, I think I was a little disappointed with the first couple of episodes. Not saying they were bad episodes, but I felt like they moved kind of slow, and I was afraid that if that was supposed to be like the zenith of this show, then, you know, things were going to go downhill pretty quick, because it didn't seem like enough had happened to really gain interest. But episodes 3 and 4, they were action-packed, and that's another reason why this review is going to be hard, because I thought we were going to have slower pacing coming in 3 and 4, so I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know how I want to go about reviewing this, even though we do have these two kind of parallel narratives. Now, I don't know, because so much happened. We got names for characters we didn't have before, new characters were introduced that were really important to the plot, so yeah, there's a lot going on here, but I'm going to do my best to tell you guys as much information as I can, give you as much of my opinion as I can, and hopefully, you know, I'll kind of be able to get back into the swing of things the further we go along in this series. And just so you know, plenty of spoilers, so I warned you ahead of time. So let's start with our two main characters, Noel and Jun Young, who I called Ju Young the entire last review, so I feel really bad about that, guys. I'm sorry. But Jun Young, currently he is an actor. We know that he was asked to do a documentary. We know that he is sick with some dread disease. Now, when we did the last couple of episodes, I don't think the doctor told us how long our subject has. But from the way things sound right now, it looks like he may have about 3 months left to live if he doesn't go into treatment. Also, it looks like what he has is some form of perhaps brain cancer. Not really sure on that one either. But it seemed like it's some form of cancer, but they had like an MRI scan, and it was a scan of a brain, which is why I'm assuming that it's brain cancer, but it could be something else. I really don't know. But he's got this brain cancer, and the reason why it's important for the story to jump back to the earlier time period is because I guess at some point Jun Young came to believe that he has brain cancer because of a deal he made with God to save Susie's life. So let's go back in time. Of course, you know that Jun Young, his father is this prosecutor, and he's the illegitimate son of this prosecutor, and his mother is determined to make him successful. That way, when he grows up and he becomes a prosecutor himself, she can present herself to the father and be like, look what I did. I made this young man who he is, and I did a great job. So he's in school, he's working hard, everything like that, and before he left high school, he played a prank on Noel, Susie's character, and the prank he played on her was to pretend to be her boyfriend, to kind of embarrass her in front of everybody and to make one of her friendships kind of awkward, because he used to date one of her friends. Well, he finds out that her father has died, and that loan sharks are trying to get her, and that, you know, her father was run over by a car, and that his dad, the prosecutor, had an active role in covering up who really killed Susie's father. And I'm not exactly sure if he knows for certain that the prosecutor covered it up, or if he just knows that, you know, Susie has this strong belief, so that's why he tends to believe it himself. Anyway, he kind of finds himself having a soft spot for her, because he realized that she's kind of in the same position in life that he is in terms of she doesn't have a father, and, you know, she's kind of I wouldn't say looked down on by society, but basically she's in a position where she's not expected to succeed. So they split up in high school. She went into hiding from these loan sharks. He kept going to school and trying to pursue his career as a prosecutor. They meet up while he's in college, and when they meet up while he's in college, he catches her defacing a campaign slogan for the former prosecutor, his illegitimate dad, whatever. And he's like, okay, well, I could turn you into the police for defacing this campaign slogan, but instead of that, just agree to be my on-call girlfriend for a couple of different times because I need you to help me shake these other females away because I'm so fine. So she gets called up, and she has one episode in the cafeteria where she has to pretend to be all lovey-dovey and scare this other girl away. And then, he keeps trying to call her to kind of get her to be there for him when he's having some rough emotional moments. And he is having some rough emotional moments. The prosecutor, the campaign slogan he was putting out there so that he could become assemblyman. And I guess assemblyman is kind of like becoming a congressman. I'm not really sure how Korean government works, but being a prosecutor is just like it is in the United States. You work for the government to handle cases on behalf of the state or the country or whatever. Being an assemblyman, you're part of government and you represent a certain region. So he was running for assemblyman against somebody else. Susie was working for the opponent because this prosecutor helped hide the person who killed her dad. Well, during the campaign, he ends up winning his campaign, and the prosecutor becomes the assemblyman, and he decides to hold a celebratory meal at this restaurant. It just happens to be the restaurant that Jun Young's mother owns. So he sees the prosecutor in the restaurant. Everybody's there having a great time. He doesn't see his mother. He goes into the kitchen. His mother's like huddled in a corner, crying, embarrassed because she doesn't want this guy who she was madly in love with years ago to see her. And so the son is like, oh, are you sick? I'll take you to the doctor, climb on my back. Because I guess that's the thing that people do in Korea. And as they're about to leave the restaurant, the assemblyman sees Jun Young carrying his mother on his back. And he's like, hey, is she okay? I know you're that hardworking student. And he almost comes close to seeing who the mother is, but doesn't really see. So Jin Young takes his mother outside, and he acknowledges to his mother that he knows that that man is his father, and he knows that his mom is embarrassed to see that man as they're currently living. And the mother starts crying. Now, this scene was hard for me in a couple of ways because I'm already kind of wondering why it is his mother wrote him off just because he didn't become a prosecutor. But then when I saw her hovering in the corner, like crying and embarrassed and everything else, I kind of felt like saying to her, you don't deserve to be embarrassed. You didn't have this baby alone. You didn't get yourself pregnant. This man got you pregnant. And yeah, he's successful and everything else, but if anything, he should be kissing your ass, because if you had come out with this news, or if you had tied him down to you and he couldn't have gotten the fame that he got, he wouldn't be where he is now. You spent all of your son's life protecting this man who gave you nothing. He didn't give you any child support. He didn't give you any good wishes. He basically forgot about you. You did all this stuff to make this man's life better. And you're ashamed to be seen by him as if you did something wrong. Like, that to me is crazy. And if her shunning her son as an actor now is because he is embarrassing her in front of this man, like, I'm through with his mom, because that's your child. Your child didn't ask to be put here. Your child's doing the best they can. They've never had any support from their father. And so your child decides to make a life doing something that allows him to live a good life, to be successful, and to be happy. And you shame him for it because he's not living up to his father, who doesn't even know him's expectations. That's foolish talk to me. But anyway, the mom's got her own problems. So carries the mom out the restaurant. Later on, after he's dropped the mom off, he tries to call Susie. Susie doesn't answer the phone. And I'm just going to call her Susie from here on out, because the name Noel, it just doesn't hit my tongue right, and so I keep saying it wrong. But anyway, he calls up Susie, wanting her to play girlfriend for him. She doesn't answer the phone. So he goes to where she's living, and he overhears her having a conversation with the prosecutor about some videotape that Susie has taken of him visiting host bars and being drug out, drunk with this one hostess who he's really fond of. So Jun Young starts following her, and as he's following her, he sees her kind of trying to catch a taxi or something, and she's got her purse on her arm trying to catch this taxi. Well, he steals a motorbike, I guess, and drives up to her and snatches her purse. Well, as she goes to chase him because he snatched her purse, she gets hit by a car, and she gets hit really hard, starts bleeding out, goes to the hospital. She's about to die. And while she's in the operating room getting surgery performed on her, Jun Young makes a deal with God: if you'll save her life, I will let you have mine. And she makes it. So right after she survives this surgery, Jun Young goes to the college and he quits his program as a law student because he feels like, to be the kind of person that would almost cost somebody their life, I don't deserve to be a prosecutor. Because I guess he's determined to be an honorable prosecutor, which is crazy to me because his father is not an honorable prosecutor by any stretch of the imagination. Because, Susie did have video of his father leaving these host bars with these women on multiple occasions. And his father did hide the person who killed Susie's father. And it turns out that the person who killed Susie's father is the daughter of an assemblyman, which we established that in the first couple of episodes, but she's actually engaged to the prosecutor's son. And this is where casting is an issue for me, because there in episode 2, I believe, there was a moment where Susie was in a restaurant getting drunk, and this guy was telling her, you should be ashamed of yourself for taking bribes, and you need to be a more honorable person, and yada, yada, yada. And I think she kept calling him Ajashi. I thought he was an old guy. I legitimately thought he was an old guy. Turns out he is actually Jun Young's half-brother. He's actually the son of the prosecutor. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. That guy looked so old. And I looked up his age online. He's 34, which is not really old because he's not even as old as me. But at one point in the drama, he's playing like a college/high school student. No fucking way. No fucking way. But, we'll get into all of that. The age factor in terms of casting was bullshit on this show. But we can get off that another time. But anyway, this prosecutor has 2 children. He's got a son named Jitae, and he's got a daughter named Haru. And his son, Jitae, I guess, is friends with Susie. I don't know how he became friends with Susie. That part of the show hasn't established itself, but at present time, he is a friend of Susie's. And he is, I guess, pretending while he's around Susie and her brother to be like a struggling college student or something. But it turns out he's actually like the wealthy son of a assemblyman, and he's got his own business ventures, and he in fact has some kind of deal where he has some stake in the broadcast company that Susie worked for before she got fired. And the reason why this comes up is because present day Susie was of course trying to get Jun Young to do this documentary, and they struck an agreement that she wouldn't kill herself if he did the documentary, because he thought that Susie was trying to kill herself. Turns out Susie was actually just trying to get some behind the scenes paparazzi footage of Juno from 2 p.m. being on a date, which I thought that was a really cute cameo. But anyway, she ends up getting this job to do this documentary with Jun Young. And of course, Jitae, he's not having it because he's secretly in love with Susie. He doesn't want her to love him for his riches, but he's secretly in love with her. And he knows that his father covered up the murder of Susie's father. He also knows that Jun Young caused the accident that got Susie ran over. So he's got all of these secrets that he's hiding from Susie. So, obviously he must be our second lead. But I'm just thinking, if Susie knew all of the information that Jitae has behind the scenes about everybody and everything, she would never want this man. Ever, ever, ever. You know who caused me to get hit by a car? You said nothing. You know that your father helped cover up my father's killer. You said nothing. You are engaged to the woman who killed my father. You said nothing. You see me and my brother struggling. You know I need a job. You have access to millions of dollars. You have access to all these companies. You could have provided me with good employment to help me to get out of the situation. You did nothing. I wouldn't want this guy either. Like, it'd be one thing if he was like, okay, well, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. If you want to get with me, you bring who you are, bring who I am, and then we'll meet in the middle. but he's trying to manipulate her employment situation behind the scenes. So it's just like, if you're gonna do all that, you might as well just give me the money I owe these loan sharks and then get the fuck out of here, instead of trying to play these puppet string games with me to keep me in your life, to keep me in your atmosphere. But Susie's story is actually kind of sad, because she's working every job she can get, doing anything she can for money, because, you know, her dad is dead, her mother is dead, she's got this little brother she's trying to support, and she's not, I don't think she's in school even, but she's trying to make the money to be able to provide for their life. And I imagine that some of the money that she owes these loan sharks is not only money that she owes them for helping to support her brother during his time of need, but because it hasn't been resolved just yet in the drama, I'm wondering if she owes the loan sharks this money because of all these freaking hospital bills she incurred by getting hit by this person's car. But Susie, you know, she begins her kind of investigative reporting career by trying to get evidence against this prosecutor who was voted assemblyman, because, you know, she has personal vendetta against him. And she's trying really hard at this point in the story, in her early days, to be earnest, to do things the right way, to rely on other people to have integrity. And that doesn't come through. Bad things keep happening to her when she's expecting other people to have the same amount of integrity that she has. Because she started out the show being a very honest, loving, caring, stand up for the little guy type of person. And so for her to get to this point in present day where she's taking any bribe, she's doing whatever she can for money, obviously there's a shift there. And I think it's because at some point she got broken from this belief that people are inherently good and they'll do the right thing by you if given the chance. But yeah, like, everything bad that can happen to Susie seems to be happening to her, and it's really upsetting, because I just think about her little brother, because her little brother, I guess, knew her as a young woman, and then he gets older and he sees her as she is now, and he's lost all respect for her. Like, he just thinks that she's a trash bag because she takes bribes and she does like really low class stuff to get money, which I kind of want to slap her brother in the back of the head and say, hey, your sister's doing what she can to survive. Do you know how much money she owes these loan sharks? Do you know that they stole your deposit money and kicked her out of her place because she's trying to pay all this stuff back? You really don't have any moral leg to stand on, young person. But instead of doing all that, you know, it's really hard, because he is the last of Susie's family. Like, that's it. So, you know, he really needs her to be better, but at the same time she needs him to understand that she's doing all this for him, and it's hard. She's kind of put in the place of a parent very prematurely. So we've got that going on. We have the character who is the assemblyman's daughter. She's come back to Korea because of her engagement with Ji-tae, and she's just this really cute, beautiful lady, and she's so perfect and she cooks so good, but Ji-tae doesn't love her. And probably the reason why he doesn't love her is because she knows that she's a killer, and he knows that she killed Susie's father. And I'm wondering, at what point does she play a role in Susie's life? Because there was a little bit of a confrontation between them at the campaign rally between the two different people that were running for office for assemblyman, and they had a little moment there, but it wasn't anything big. But I'm just wondering how they're going to impact each other as the story goes on, because that would be important to see. Also, there's a couple of side characters that help out. There's a Nadi, I think her name is Nadi, and she is a friend of Susie's character, but she's also a friend of Junyoung. She's a little kind of heavier, but she's just a really sweet girl, and she actually tries to get Susie dressed up for the times that she's spending around Junyoung. And the way she explained it, I thought was really cute. She's like, you know, he's this big celebrity now, and he's so famous, and he's probably around beautiful people all the time. So, you know, you dressing up probably wouldn't mean anything to him, but I just want to be able to show him that, you know, when he thinks about his classmates, he doesn't have to think badly about us. So basically saying, like, you know, I want you to put on your best. That way he doesn't feel like the people that he left behind are doing poorly. You know, just kind of keep your pride about you. And I really like her character. We haven't seen a lot of her in the show so far, but she just has a really sweet personality, seems really supportive. And I'd love to see more of her in the narrative. She even drives out to Junyoung's place to bring Susie real pearl earrings instead of fake pearl earrings. And I just thought, you know, that's your good girlfriend right there. That's the one that you need to keep in your circle, because she knows what's up. She'll keep you hooked up. But I love that part. There's a little bit of a side story with the whole uncle. I thought that was his uncle, but he's not. He's like a play uncle. He's actually he actually wants to date Jun Young's mom, but I guess that never worked out for some reason or another. So his son is Jun Young's manager, and his son's kind of a jackass, jerk type character. I really could do without him in this story all the time. The documentary, that's going to be another probably setup for the story, because the documentary is what would you do if you only had 3 months to live, because they want to show the youth of Korea how important life is, which this documentary is going to be one of the top documentaries in Korea once Jun Young dies, because he'll be filming all this stuff about how you need to live your life, every minute of it, and then he's going to turn around and die of an illness. So everybody's going to want to watch that, you know, so it's already set up to be a success, but it is kind of like ironic how it's exactly on point with what's going on with his life. And then from the previews we've seen, apparently Susie is going to be drafted into being his pretend girlfriend during his last few months of his, you know, bucket list tour here in life. And the way that they've set up the story, he has to die at the end. Like, supposedly he has cancer. If he has cancer, he can't live to the end of this drama. So I feel kind of nervous about that, knowing that the lead character is supposed to die. But I still want to see how it goes. Because I want to see how they handle his ongoing illness, what kind of miracle drug they're going to give him to make him seem healthy and happy and not full of pain. But, you know, it's television, so I'm sure they can invent something. I'd like to see how Susie gets out of the thing with the loan sharks, if she finds out the truth about everybody. I'd like to see if the prosecutor ever gets caught for all of his lies, because I get the feeling that the prosecutor, Jun Young's biological father, is not a bad man in his heart. You can tell he loves his wife, he loves his kids like him, he's well respected in his family, and he does want to do the right thing. But I think he's also the kind of man that a lot of his personality, you know, is built on his reputation. And so for him, the trade-off has always been, will doing the right thing protect my reputation or hurt my reputation? And so he's built himself up to do everything he can to help his reputation. And I don't think that he's really examined how much hurt he's given to other people because of that. Because the reason why he, of course, didn't claim Jun Young, one is because he didn't know about him, because the brother kind of intercepted on that. But two, I mean, he was able to easily leave this woman behind. Like, he didn't try to find her years later. You know, the half-brother, Jun Young's half-brother, they seem to be about the same age in the storyline. You know, one was getting his acceptance letter to college. The other one had been in college for a couple of years. So it seems like, you know, a couple of years after he left Jun Young's mother, he's married and having a baby with somebody else. So it didn't take him long at all to move on. And I think I would like to see, like, does he redeem himself? That's what I want to see. Does he redeem himself? Because I think that would be the most valuable lesson throughout this whole drama, is to show how somebody can make some really grave mistakes that can affect a lot of people's lives, but that they can try their hardest to make it right in one form or another. Because that's an important life lesson. Just because you've made a mistake doesn't mean you can't try to do better. Even if you can't make up for that original mistake, try to do something else good in another arena that maybe either relate to that or can improve somebody else's life. You have to give back to this world what you've received. But anyway, that's my review for episodes 3 and 4, and I will see you guys for episodes 5 and 6. Bye!